Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. This is our second season, and we're now on episode 2.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters. This interview has been one in a long time in the making. I've always desired to have our brother as a guest, just wanted to wait until the timing was right, and the timing is right indeed today. And dear family, you've seen our brother on several of the popular online shows hosted by members of the Nation of Islam. I can go on and name so many people's podcasts, the Farrakhan Generation, our sister Yavanka, so many. And today we have our brother here as a guest on I Have a Testimony, our brother Arvence Muhammad. I hope I'm getting that name right.
The man foretold to come came under radar. Words protected heads from the rain like umbrella. The wise knew of his coming, so they tried to behead the mission. So the body will fall, but no successor. The progressor, self-explanatory how he made it. From slave cotton picking to freedom, no runaway. Just an elevated mindset with others made them shine. From a gloomy dead look to brightest countenance in his prime. His hands full of power hitting, ticking time bomb ready to blow on the world of evil ran by Satan smitten. Open his mouth, the words got your dome lit, and now you can breathe like resurrected.
All right. So, Assalamu alaikum, dear brother, and thank you for joining us today. And
Walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. So I want to start off with this question, man, because I know you may have shared it on different interviews, but I want to ask you this question so those who may have not saw those interviews can actually hear your testimony. Can you tell us when you first came into contact with the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad and how that led to you being a member of the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. I was in 6th grade. My blood brother went to Grambling State University, and he heard a man teach at his school by the name of Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So Dr. Khalid taught at his school, Grambling State University. My brother heard it, and my brother came back from college home to Chicago with this new teaching. We didn't know what he was talking about. I never heard of Allah, never heard of Islam, never heard of Muhammad, never heard of Elijah Muhammad, never heard of Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan. I never heard of any of that. Because in our neighborhood, we lived in a war zone. There was no presence of any spiritual light that we never heard of any of this. So my whole family was like fighting them tooth and nail. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't believe it. But me being a child, I just listened to them because I wanted to learn. I always wanted to learn about Jesus, more about God, all of that. But nobody could really take me there the way I wanted it. So my brother began teaching me and like spoon feed me every day. He gave me audio cassette tapes to listen to of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He gave me messages to Black Man to study, all of that. So I'm studying hard and I'm learning and I'm loving it because I'm learning something I never knew before, I never heard before. And it answered all the questions I ever had, you know. So my brother let me watch a videotape of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking at Mosque Mariam. And I don't remember the name of the lecture. I don't remember one word the minister was speaking about. I just remember I'm in 6th grade sitting on my grandmother's carpet in the living room watching the TV. And I just felt this energy coming from the TV, from the minister's words to me. And I just knew he the man who got the answers to whatever. But I just knew that I need to listen to him. That's all I knew. And from 6th grade up until now, I've been blessed to study and follow the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that's the best decision I ever made my whole life.
That's beautiful, man. You know, because of your unique experiences, many have sought to interview you to have you share and talk about your experiences with the will and the wills, right? And I would like to know if you remember when you first learned about this aspect of the theology of the Most High Elijah Muhammad concerning the will and the wills. And what do you remember about how you responded when you first read it or first heard it?
Yes, sir. Again, I was in sixth grade, studying Message to the Black Man.
Wow.
I wasn't reading it every single day because I'm in sixth grade. I'm still a child. I'm still running the streets, playing with my friends. I'm still getting in trouble and stuff So I remember, I think it was around seventh grade when I actually finally finished the book, Message to the Black Man. And I remember there's a part in Message to the Black Man that deals specifically with the will and the baby plane specifically. So reading that part, I said, man, I seen a baby plane when I was 5 years old. I didn't know, I thought it was aliens, but I wasn't scared. I was like, ooh, aliens, my two sisters were in the back seat with me and they seen it. So, I mean, everybody in the car seen it and it followed us for 15 minutes, low to the ground, like 20 stories over the ground. So I remember reading that part about the will and Message to the Black Man. Reading that part took me back to when I was 5 years old. I didn't know what that was when I was 5 years old. I thought it was what the enemy say, aliens and all that stuff. So once the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I read his words of the truth of it. I said, man, that's what I saw. I know what I saw. So now reading his words and Message to the Black Man, I know exactly what that was and what they are now. So unless you can't get the truth about the reality of things, the way the Lord of the worlds has it, unless you go to someone who has it from him. That's the only way you can get it. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you can't go to no school of learning on the planet to get what he teach you, no matter how much you pay for it. He said you can't get it. And he said you can't get it because no school of learning has it. He was given the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the Lord of the worlds to teach the people of the planet. And he said, accept him and listen to him and live. But if you reject him, you end up dying. Why? Because you rejecting the supreme being. Read the scriptures of everybody who rejected him. What happened to them? So that's the time we living in right now. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's the one who opened my mind to the reality of what I seen when I was 5 years old, just by reading one of his books that he wrote before I was born.
Now, for those who may have not have heard about that experience, can you briefly talk about what took place when you were 5 years old?
Yes, sir. So on the south side of Chicago, I remember the whole scenery. It's in the morning time, broad daylight, no clouds in the sky. We were on a street called State Street. People in Chicago know about State Street and the Robert Taylor Project homes, right? So we were riding through there. We were traveling northbound, so the sun was on the east side, on the right side of the car. It may be like 8 or 9 in the morning. It was real early. So my mother was sitting in the front passenger side. My mother's friend was driving. He was a man. He was known in the neighborhood as a drunk. He was always drunk. I never seen him sober a day in my life. So he's driving. I was already scared. I remember that because I just knew he was gonna crash the car and kill us. This man was never sober, right? So I'm sitting in the back seat in between my two sisters because they wouldn't let me sit next to the window. I was too young to sit next to the window. One of my sisters sat on the right side of the window. My other sister sat on the left side. I'm in the middle, in the back. So all of a sudden, my mother starts freaking out, screaming, look, what is that? We're like, man, what you talking about? Because our mother, she never acts like that. So we know something's obviously wrong. And we're like, what you talking about? She's pointing to the right side of the sky. And then we look and we don't see nothing. And she looked to the left side. She said, she cussing and everything. It's over there. We look, and as Allah is my witness, this ship, it was maybe the size of an 18-wheeler from front to end. There was a ship in the sky, like 20 stories over the ground. It was like the look of stainless steel, but it was a little more shinier than stainless steel. No windows, perfectly quiet. The top had a smooth shape and the bottom had a smooth shape. And the middle was like this, but the middle had a small lip around it. And the ship just hovered and followed us like this, doing this every now and then, just kind of going from side to side a little bit, just kind of allowing me to see the bottom and the top. And I remember the sun that had already risen from the east side in the sky at 8 or 9 in the morning. The sun was reflecting off of the right side of this baby plane as it was flying on the left side of the car, 20 stories in the air. And it followed us for like 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, it started to slowly like move away from us like this, going westbound. And we thought it left for good. So we go to the store. I'm still looking for it. And my mother told us, don't say nothing to nobody. Nobody's going to believe us. People going to think we crazy. And we was like, okay, but I'm still looking for it. I'm a child. That was exciting to me. I loved it. I was the only one in the car that wasn't scared. So I'm looking for it to come back, and I'm excited. And I seen it come back around behind the project buildings and peek out so that I could see it. And when I told my mother, my sister, and everybody, I said, look, there it go, there it go. It peeked back behind the building so nobody could see it. So I'm realizing now that must have been them trying to contact me. And if you let things happen, you can go further. But if you say, no, I didn't see that, just throw it out, it's like you stunt your own growth. So yeah, that was the first time I seen one. I remember that like it was yesterday. Like I would never forget that.
That opens me up to two other questions. One, with your mother telling you all not to share anything about that experience, and I'm quite sure now, if your mother is still living, I assume she's still living, with these interviews that you are doing, and I know you may have talked about them more, have you all had any conversations now, being that you've had numerous experiences with that and you know more about them? And if so, what does she say now?
Well, when I turned 8 years old, my birth mother passed, unfortunately.
Please.
But I still remember that experience. And the only two people that were in that car left. My mother passed, and my mother's friend who was driving, he passed. But my two sisters still alive, and they remember it like it was yesterday. I asked one of my sisters. Yeah, one of my sisters. I asked. She got excited. Yeah, I remember that. She knows. Like, you know, she's a devout Christian, but she know about the will. She remember when we were children. She remember what she's saying. And I let her know every time that I see him, and she's like, man, I believe you. But my other sister, she knows it as well, but she's one of those, she's like, I don't want to hear it. No, because that really freaked her out. She's like still freaked out about what we see when we were children. And I brought a video to her house one time of a video footage that I had of the wheels coming to the farm, right? So I showed my niece at first, and my niece was like, for real, let me see. And I showed it to her. My niece was like, mama, come here, look. And my sister was in the kitchen. She didn't want to see it. She said, no, F that. I ain't coming in there. No, I don't want to see it. I want to see it. And so it was funny. We started busting up laughing. But my sister, she knows it's real, but she's not ready to accept it fully yet. She's not ready to see that again. Like that really messes her up. But you know, I pray so she gets past that.
Let me ask you this, because you know, at that young age, to witness something like that, and then you go on where you have all of these rich experiences with the will and these conversations with the man who we know that is connected to the will. When you look back over your life, like to the best of your ability, I don't know, you may be able to definitively say this is why. Why do you think you have had that experience and continue to have these experiences? And as you look over your life, besides that, what you experienced at that age when you were in a car, do you see any other things that point to you to say, man, this was meant for me to be experiencing this?
Yes, sir. Many things have happened over the years. Since I was a child going into high school. When I was in grammar school, I would try to tell people about what I see and tell people about what I've seen when I was 5 years old, and then bring up Message to the Black Man. I carried the book with me to grammar school every day. I would bring up Message to the Black Man and say, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about this. Some people would listen and some people, yeah, all right, whatever. So, but that never discouraged me. So going into high school, there were two staff members of the high school that were Muslims, and they studied the life-giving teachings of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, this can't be a coincidence. These two individuals at the school that I decided to go to, the high school, right, in the ghetto, right? So I can't remember how they found out that I called myself a Muslim and was studying the teachings, but somehow they found out. I guess one of the teachers told, because I was telling the teachers that I knew, telling the high school students, as I couldn't keep it to myself, you know. And once I learned the truth, I wanted to tell everybody who would listen. I just wanted to tell everybody. So these two staff members of my high school, one was a security guard, one was a teacher. And every time, you know, walking from one class to another, the bell ring, you know, you go from class to class. They see me in the hallway. They always say, "What you studying? You studying?" And I'd be like, "Yes, sir." "What you read?" "Message to the Black Man." You know, and they're, "All right, what page? What do you say?" They would like quiz me every day or every week. And sometimes I didn't read that week because I was on the wrestling team. I'm practicing, I'm studying, you know, doing my work and all of that. But every time that I didn't study Message to the Black Man for a long period of time, and they found out, they were like, "No, get back in that book." I didn't even know them. They were like, "Get back in that book, study. Don't let that go. You know, you are in a blessed position. You're a teenager, you're young. The rest of these students up here, they're not trying to learn them like that. They're on the street, they do it, da da da. You don't need to go that way. Listen to Elijah Muhammad." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool, I do it." So I started studying more. And when I graduated from high school in the year 1999, in the year 2000, the thought came to me, you know, I need to go to the mosque and join. It just, I woke up one morning and I was like, I need to go to the mosque. It just came to my mind, I need to go to the mosque and join. And so I started going to the mosque. I started going to processing class, and by Allah's grace, I joined the ranks in the month of August in the year 2000. And I was so happy, man. That was the best decision I ever made in my life. I was so happy. I almost cried when I passed the test, you know. I almost cried. And it's been nonstop since then. I've been blessed to be consistent since the year 2000 in August. And oh, that year, the year 2000, I just thought about this. I was only in the month, I just came in August, right? So in the year 2000, that was the year the Million Family March, right? In Washington, D.C. So I remember I was selling all the t-shirts that we had, the t-shirts for it. I was selling t-shirts, newspaper. I was like the top salesperson. I was on fire, right? I was doing a minimum of 50 papers a week by myself. I was selling a minimum of like 20 to 30 t-shirts by myself. I was on fire because nobody told me nothing, right? So a few days before the Million Family March was to start, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was at the palace, at the home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Chicago. You know, so my lieutenant, who brought me in from the field, we were outsourcing the paper. Then my lieutenant told me, he said, "The minister at the palace, you want to come with me and see him?" I said, "Yeah, what? Like, I get to see the minister?" Yeah, I was like, I just came in, of course. So he take me down to the palace, and the bus is out there, the E-team is out there, and I'm like, wow, like this is amazing, right? So all of a sudden, the minister come out the house with the E-team around him, and I'm looking, I said, "Is that the minister?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, I'm nervous. I'm like, I can't believe he's in front of me, right? So my lieutenant just get the minister a hug, like, and the minister hug him back. And I was like, "Can I have a hug?" I'm just like excited. And the minister looking at me, and the minister held his hand out to shake my hand. And I walked up to him and shook his hand. I was just looking like, I couldn't believe he was in front of me and I was shaking his hand. I couldn't believe it. I just came in, right? So he said, "How old are you?" I said, 19. He said, "You remind me of myself when I first came in." And I was like, I didn't even know what to say, you know? He said, "Are you going to the march?" I said, "No, sir. They have me holding back to help hold security. You know, they had me on the list to hold back, stay in Chicago, you know, look over the palace, the mosque, and all that, the bases." So the minister looked at my lieutenant and he said, "I thought I said I didn't want no new brother staying back. He need to be at the march." And I got scared. I thought I made him upset at me, you know, so I got scared. And then my lieutenant said, yes, sir, but the minister will get him there." And the minister told my lieutenant, he said, "Make sure he get on one of those buses and get there." So it happened, man. And the FOI bought a ticket for me on the bus, leaving from the mosque. I didn't have to pay for nothing. I didn't have to pay for no hotel, no nothing. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made that happen, though. He made it for me to be there, and that experience was priceless. I'd never seen anything like that. I ended up being in front of the stage on security, and I was just like, it was amazing. It was amazing. I never did that.
That is beautiful. And while we were talking about that, you know, we talked about this in preparation for this interview because you've done numerous interviews where you're talking about the will, your experience, and And I'm glad that we have that history from those other shows. So I want to try to extract some new commentary from you, stuff that you may have forgotten or stuff that may have happened since those interviews, because all of this is a part of our history. So I'll start off first with this one. Can you mention that you have not been asked about specific guidance you have received from the Wills, right? So is there anything
Yes,
you can
sir.
share regarding that you haven't shared thus far?
Yes, sir. It's been so much. I typed out a lot of it. Actually, I've been documenting it. I have a lot of pages here. I have over 10 pages here. For each year, I have many years here that I've been documenting since 2011 up until the end of last year, December. So one thing that comes to mind first, in the year 2012, we had Savior's Day in Rosemont that year. So Saturday night, that weekend, I'm in my hotel room. My hotel room was like 2 or 3 doors down from the minister's room, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's room. So I'm asleep in my hotel room, but I'm asleep on this little bed cotto thing in front of the window. And the window is facing O'Hare Airport. The airport is not far away. Like the window, then there's the parking lot of the hotel, there's the highway, and then the airport is right on the side of the highway. So it's right there, close to the airport. I mean, the airport is close to the hotel that we stayed in. So I'm asleep next to the window. All of a sudden, both of my legs start hurting real bad, and it wakes me up. So I wake up and I put my hands on my thighs because it hurts so bad. I never felt pain like that in my life. Nothing. I don't have any health issues or nothing. So I was wondering what's going on. I couldn't even move my legs, but my legs was hurting so bad. I woke up. I said, ah, and then the pain stopped. And I have my hands on my thighs and I'm looking like, what is going on? So I stand up and do some little stretches. I'm like, what was that? Like, what was that? Where did that come from? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep, right? I lay back down in front of the window. The pain comes back at least 5 times worse. The first time was unbearable. So it came back at least 5 times worse than the first time. I sat up again, I screamed, ah! But I couldn't move my legs again. And then once I put my hands on my thighs, the pain went away again. And I said, man, what is going on? What is this? So I felt something. The window is on the right side of my face, right? I feel something in my ear, like a thought to say, look out the window. I looked to the right and I looked out the window and there was this red ball of light sitting over O'Hare Airport underneath the cloud. It just came on and it started doing this flickering. And then it got bigger and brighter. It's flickering. Real bright, flickering, just sitting there. And I stand up and I look out the window, I move the curtains out of the way, and I'm looking like, oh man, that's a baby plane. I already knew what it was. And so I'm thinking, okay, y'all the ones who made my legs hurt and made me wake up twice because you wanted me to see this. Now, at that time, there was some serious activity going on around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I can't speak of, but it was some serious things happening, some plots on him and all of that. So this baby plane, this red light appeared right over O'Hare Airport, right behind the hotel, just sitting there. And I'm standing there watching it. I'm watching it for like 5 minutes straight, just standing there. And then the light is flickering like this, and then it gets dim, it gets thin, and then it just disappeared. In the middle of the sky, it just disappeared, never moved, just disappeared. So I said, okay, they want me to tell the minister about them coming, and they warning him about something. So I text the minister's son, Brother Joshua Farrakhan. I texted him. I told everybody about what I saw. I told everybody. I was like, this is what's happening. Maybe they warned the minister. Please tell the minister, right? So they told the minister. I don't know what he said. I didn't hear what he said about that or if he said anything about it. But that was the first time that I recognized that they were using me to tell the minister something whenever they decided to, and I had no control over it. It's just like either I'm gonna do what they say or not. I mean, I can't stop them from warning the minister if I don't say they came, of course. But my heart and my spirit, I know who they are and I know who commands them. So me following their instructions, I'm following the Lord of the world's instructions. I'm gonna do whatever they tell me to do. I don't care who don't like it. I don't care who do like it. I'm gonna do whatever they tell me to do. I'm gonna strive my best. I'm gonna strive my best to do whatever the Honorable Minister Farrakhan tell me to do, because I know his identity. I know who we have in our midst. So many years after that, things like that started to happen more and more. Sometimes I'm at home in Chicago. I feel a ringing in my ear when I'm laying down. I get up, look out of the window, and this light comes on and start moving and just take off. And so I'm like, man, I know what that is. So every time I see the baby planes, what people call UFOs, wherever I am, if I'm at home, if I'm in the city of Chicago, if I'm at the farm, if I'm somewhere else, I always pull out my phone and document it. I document the time, the date, the year, where I'm at, what they did, the communication. Sometimes I can ask some questions, and sometimes they respond back to me by showing different lights. And sometimes they just give me a certain feeling, which lets me know yes or no to a question or something like that. I have no control over this. They just do it. They do whatever they want, and you just gotta accept it.
For sharing that, man. And you also talked about in regards to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan giving you some specific guidance as it relates to the will. Is there anything that you haven't shared that you can share that he has shared with you about guidance regarding the wills?
Yes, sir. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told me many times in private settings how special I am to him, how special I am to Allah, how special I am to those on the wheels who pilot the wheels. I'm just listening, like I know he know what he's talking about. He's never been a liar before, so you know I don't know this stuff. Somebody like him, they got to tell you right and guide you the right way. I don't know which way to go. I have to follow the guide. So the minister began telling me after he noticed that I'm seeing him so many times wherever I'm at. I always tell him, you know. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan started picking up on that, and then he started telling me how special I am and telling me about my connection to them and my connection to Allah. And he started to tell me how I'm being used by them to tell him something and to warn him or give him guidance or whatever. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would tell me special things about myself and my connection to him and Allah on the wheels in front of people also. And that was, you know, I was just like, I don't like attention. I don't like the limelight, none of that. So when he does that, I just like put my head down, like, you know, I just be like, Allahu Akbar. So the minister told me before in front of a lot of people, he said, this is our will brother right here. He calls the wheels at will and they respond to him and come when he called them. Now, this is the first time I'm hearing this when he said it for the first time. Like, I didn't know that's what's happening. I just knew that when I asked them to come, they would come. I didn't know like the deeper insight of it the way he does. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will also say, this is Brother Arvence. And he said, this is our will brother right here. And then he said, he is our official will watcher. And I was like, huh? I'm like, I'm the official will watcher? Like, I thought he was. Of course he is. But I mean, so, I mean, being told these things, it is what it is. It's the truth. Now, when you hear the truth, it's your responsibility. Now, the duty of the messenger is only to deliver a clear message. That's it. Now, once you hear it, you know truth. You know truth when you hear it. So once you hear it, the responsibility is on you now. What you gonna do with it? So I just do my best to listen to what the minister says and try to bask in it and try to practice it. Because I noticed once he told me that I can call them at will and they come, that's when I started really practicing it. And once I started really practicing it, he didn't tell me, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan didn't tell me how to call them. I had to figure that out for myself. I had to figure out what it is that I could say that the angels on the wheels would respond to, that they would allow me to say to them, that they would show up after I asked them. So the first time I did it, I stood outside at night. I held my hands up like this in prayer. And I looked up in the sky. I said, dear angels, I'm asking for your presence. Please allow me to see you. In the name of Allah who came to us in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, in the name of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and in the name of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, please show yourself to me. And I say, Ameen. And I just wait and be patient. Sometimes it happens 2 minutes later, sometimes 5 minutes later, sometimes an hour later. But I just know throughout the whole entire night, be patient, because you can't rush God. You can't rush them. You know, be patient. They heard you, just be patient. If they decide to come, they'll come. And they usually come. So yeah, that type of guidance being given from the minister and him telling me what to do with this. And then he told me, he said, I want you to be the one to see me leave. And then at another setting, he told me, he said, you have my permission when I leave to share what you've experienced and to share what you've seen with the whole entire world that bears witness to me and what I've been teaching. See, he told me, he said, when I leave, you have my permission to tell the world that you seen me go up. That's what he was telling me. And he said, tell everybody. He said, you have my permission to tell the world. So I'm thinking, I said, the world? I said, I'm gonna have to deal with the whole world. And so, I mean, I'm not even worried about it though, because the only thing I have to do is repeat the truth that, you know, that we've been given. I don't have any guidance from myself. All I have to do is guide the people to him. I'm a sign on the road. I'm not the destination. So that's all. It's stay in my lane, be the sign, point to the destination, which is Allah and his messages. So I thank Allah for that.
Beautiful, man. And we thank you for sharing some of those first time shared experiences. We have a lot more to action. We're coming up on our first break. So for those who are watching, I know you're enjoying this video. Many people love to hear our brother's story and his testimony, his experience. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back after this break.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Muhammad's economic blueprint, the collective power of our dollars to build a future for ourselves. With 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, and $18.20 a year multiplied by 16 million wage earners would give us $291 million in 1 year. Everyone can give 35 cents a week as an investment in our future. Donate now and see what our pennies, nickels, and dimes can accomplish. Visit economicblueprint.org.
And we're back, dear brothers and sisters. And make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share this interview so others can hear our brother's testimony and these responses to these questions that he's given, because it can help grow us in faith. But Arvence, this is the next question I want to ask you. And as we just before we transition to something else, you know, what words would you share to those believers who may not fully understand the reality of the wills and the will, and as a result, their faith in that aspect of our belief may not be as strong?
I would say study the life and the departure of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and also study the experience of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he tells us often that he had in September 17, 1985. Study that, because they're directly connected, right? The world believes that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically dead, right? And the world believes that he died in 1975. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was summoned and taken to that mother wheel by way of a baby plane, what people call UFOs, in 1985. He heard the voice of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1985, in that experience, told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that the president of that time in 1985, which was Ronald Reagan, he told him that the president of that time had secretly met with his Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war. And he told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said, I want you to hold a press conference and make known of their plans, and I want you to tell them that you got it from me, Elijah Muhammad, on the wheel. Now think about the time frame. If he died in 1975, how can in 1985, 10 years later, a physically dead man summon you to him and tell you what the sitting president of your time is doing secretly when no one else knows except for the president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff? That's some secret war stuff, above top secret. No one knows this. So if the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was physically dead, how did he know? Anybody that you know that's physically dead, you ask them, go to the grave and ask them if they know something about what's going on right now. They don't. So, but if a person is still physically alive, they know. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that he went to make the press conference, and he said later on it came out in the newspaper. So if that didn't happen, how could it come out in the newspaper, and how could the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell him about it first? Because he knew and warned him and told him to make the press conference and tell the world and tell them where he got it from. So in that press conference, the enemy who thought they killed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they found out that they missed, because they know what they were planning, and they know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan didn't know. So how can he make a press conference and say what we doing in secret, and he didn't know it, and then tell us who told him? Obviously, he ain't dead when we thought we killed him, right? So if that's the whole entire foundation that we stand on, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said point number 12 is our foundation, and he said point number 12 has been on the back of the Final Call newspaper and Muhammad Speaks since 1962. He said that's our foundation. And he said in the first rise, when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad made his departure, he said the number one attack that was on us was our belief in Master Father Muhammad, to whom our praises are due forever, that he is God. And he said they made mockery of the wheels and the baby planes. And they believed that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was dead, but he really wasn't, but they believed that he was, because he was made to appear as dead. If you read scripture, that's in the scripture. Jesus was made to appear as dead. And those who wanted him dead thought that they were successful. But when the guards woke up because they fell asleep on guard at the tomb, right, that he was supposedly have been locked away in as a dead person, the guards woke up and the tomb was moved, the tomb capstone was removed, and the man that they thought they had, that they thought they killed, he was gone. He was gone. He wasn't there. He was taken away. So, I mean, it's all in the scripture. Scripture has to be fulfilled, because the Lord of the worlds is not a liar. It's not impossible for him to make things happen the way he say he can and he will. It's just up to us to be patient and see this thing through. So, I mean, if your faith in the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad still physically being alive is not strong enough yet, pray to Allah for strength. He'll give it to you. Trust me. I know. He'll give it to you. When I first joined the ranks in the year 2000, I wasn't sure. I believed that he was, but I wasn't sure. But I didn't even worry about it. I was so happy to be in the mosque. I was just working, kept studying. That's all I did was study and work. All I did. Because I wanted to learn more about what I was involved in. I knew it was the truth, so why not learn more about the truth? I've been taught lies my whole life. I don't want lies no more. Once you learn the truth, that's it. Don't go back. Keep going towards Allah. Ask Allah for strength, because all of the proof is here. All of the work that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been doing since 1985, when he received those instructions directly from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad alive, right? All of the work that he has been doing has been based on that. And all of the guidance that he has been given has been coming from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad on how to guide us all, and coming from Allah as well. So just the timeline is clear. The things that happen has clear. Everything lines up. Everything lines up. Just keep studying and praying. Everything lines up. You'll get it.
And you know, as we transition to another aspect, all of this is a part of our way of life in the world and in our faith. You know, this show is also meant to give people the opportunity to testify and to talk about aspects of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, with the hopes that people will, after watching this, will leave and say they have a better appreciation and understanding of him. So I want to now talk about your experiences with Mother Khadijah, the mother of the faithful, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And can you mentioned to me in the discussion that we were having, I want to ask you this question. Can you share some specific guidance that Mother Khadijah has shared with you as it relates to being a husband, being a father, and being responsible?
Yes, it's always a blessing to be around Mother Khadijah. It's a blessing to see her. It's a blessing just to hear her voice. Really, I love her so much. She is like a mother to me. Like, she's like a real mother to me, and she tells me a lot. You're like a real son to me. Man, I'm just so grateful. And I'm not even a husband or a father, but for years, Mother Khadijah has been teaching me how to be that. And Mother Khadijah taught me about the early days of her and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And Mother Khadijah told me, she said, when we were young, she said, everything wasn't perfect. She said we were poor. We had to get food from the street that the restaurants would throw away, and that was the only way we ate. She said everything wasn't the way it is now. She said, but we made it. She told me, she said, me and my husband been married for over 60 years. She said, did you hear what I said? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, don't you want to be married that long? I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, you can do it too. And so I said, yes, ma'am. So she's putting all of this in my mind over the many years. And she taught me how to be a father. She taught me really the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And Mother Khadijah taught me personally a lot of times. She said, while the minister was out teaching, working, and helping the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I had to keep the family together and teach the family that, you know, the minister was out teaching, and that he wasn't just home just because he was out acting the fool or nothing like that. He was helping the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so she was that firm rock, you know, right behind the minister's side. And the Mother Khadijah taught me how to be a strong man like that, follow the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And Mother Khadijah taught me how to take care of a wife. Like, she told me the things you have to have in place. She said, you got to have money. I was in my 20s, I think I was like 24 or 25. And I'm driving Mother Khadijah this particular time. She said, how old are you? I said, 25. And then she said, you're not married, right? I said, no, ma'am, I'm not married. She said, okay, you need to save as much money as you can right now. She said, hopefully you want to meet one of these nice sisters and get married and inshallah have children one day. And she said, you need to have money saved up because it takes money to take care of a wife and to take care of children. She said, I'm older now. She said, I'm still paying for my children. So I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I remember one year, Mother Khadijah, she asked me, she said, do you have your own place? I said, yes, ma'am. I had an apartment, you know. And she said, how much you paying? I think I was paying like $800 a month or something like that back then, when I was like 25. She said, you need to save that money. If it's just you, you don't have no children. She said, why don't you come and live here at the farm for a year and save money? Live here for a year or two. She said, I'll tell my husband and you will be all right. I said, yes, ma'am. You know, so Mother Khadijah made me give up my apartment and save all that money for 2 years. I lived at the farm. And Mother Khadijah like made me do it. Like, that was a blessing. She orchestrated me about saving money and how to save money and how to think into the future, think about getting married, set up things for getting married, taking care of a wife, taking care of children. And I saved up so much money for 2 years. And then I got another apartment. And I mean, she's a great, wonderful person. Her and the minister. I mean, they're the two best people I ever met or been around in my whole entire life. And I just thank Allah because it's priceless. And many times I sit back and just wonder and ask Allah, like, what did I do to deserve all of this? Like, I literally didn't do nothing to deserve this. So, I mean, there's so much mercy and grace in this. And that's why I work so hard, because, I mean, I just remain humble and do anything that they ask me to do. It's a blessing, you know, and I don't take it for granted.
Wow. In one of your other interviews, you have mentioned where Mother Khadijah had told you that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught her how to be a wife to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Do you remember any specific thing that she shared, or was she just talking about in general through the MGT class?
It was in general, but she talked about how the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad basically took her under his wing to teach her a special way that the rest of the MGT weren't being taught, because the rest of the MGT wasn't the wife of, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who we didn't know at that time was being made to be the messenger, to take the messenger's spot. You see, so it's a different type of woman that has to be made for that kind of man. So Mother Khadijah taught me how he taught her how to have a certain attitude, how to have a certain atmosphere in the home, you know, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is working, doing that type of work. That's not easy work. And you're not working on behalf and helping a regular person. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is nowhere near a regular person. He's not. So this is a different human being you're dealing with. So Mother Khadijah is being made a different human being for that specific post that she has. So she was taught how to have a certain mindset, to do certain things. She said she was taught how to deal with her husband, you know, if he was upset about something or irritated about something. I mean, you know, she was just taught all the way across the board, and she's not a regular person. So anytime she opens her mouth, that's why you can hear so much guidance. It's like revelation comes out of her mouth. It's hard to explain, but you can see and hear and feel that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad instilled himself in her. You can see it. And it's the same way for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And it's a blessing. I mean, it's an honor and a blessing to be around them and to listen to them teach me. I want to learn all that I can, because I want to be the best human being that Allah wants me to be. I want to be the best helper to the messenger of Allah that Allah will help me to be. And everyone who hears this truth, you should want to be the same thing, because there is no in between. Either you are helping Satan or you're helping God. You know, so either you're gonna be used by one of the two. There's no in between. So
beautiful. And now, man, you shared a lot, brother. And I thank you for those jewels, because you know, Mother Khadijah doesn't, you know, talk publicly a lot. And I remember they did an interview in the final call, and the one or two questions that she answered, the wisdom was just phenomenal. And what she shared with you is also phenomenal. Now I want to ask that same question. You know, you've shared in different interviews stuff that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has shared with you, but I want to see if we can extract some other stuff that you may have gotten since then, or you may have just slipped your mind, or you, as you read back through your notes, like, oh, I forgot about this. So what's some stuff that he shared with you as it relates to being a husband, being a father, and being responsible?
Yeah, so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, one day he was walking around with a guest of his, talking to his guest, and I'm standing off, you know, to the side or whatever. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stopped talking to his guest and just turned around and looked at me. He said, "Yeah, brother, make sure you find one that want to struggle with you." He said, "A lot of them want everything now, but if you find one that want to struggle with you, you'll be all right." I said, "Yes, sir." I don't know what he's talking about. This was many years ago. I don't know what he's talking about, but I just knew, yes, sir, I'm going to do what you're saying. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out somehow. But what he was telling me is that take your time and find the right person that's for you. Even if you go through a courtship and the courtship don't work out over here and over there, I mean, there's no hard feelings. That's what the courtship is for. Like, you can't marry everybody. You know, just find the right person that's fit for you for the rest of your life. One person, you know. So he was telling me then, like, there are some out there who just want everything now. It don't work that way. Find one that want to struggle with you. If you don't have everything now, find someone who want to struggle with you so that you both can come together with a clear mind. You can both build your legacy, your family, and everything together as a married couple. You know, struggle together. It ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be some difficulty. You know, as a single person, you go through difficulty. So, I mean, you're bringing a whole nother life into your life. That's not easy. It's nice and cute and fun at first, but at a certain point, reality comes in. Are you able to deal with that reality that comes in? Are you mature enough? Can you think? Can you problem solve? All of that. You got to do all of that. So the minister taught me about all of that in many different settings. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught me about how I'm special to him and Mother Khadijah, and how they both see me as a son of theirs, and they both told me, their home is my home, and I'm just like, wow, like nobody never told me stuff like this. I don't feel worthy of it, but it's like, I just thank Allah. I really thank Allah. You know, I really, really thank Allah. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught me how to be patient. He taught me how to have love. You know, just a lot of different things. And a lot of things that he taught me, he's taught me through his own example. Just me being around him and him allowing me to see him do different things and work in different atmospheres and settings and situations. He allows me to see that. Not for me to go and tell everybody what I can't say, because I don't do that. But he allows me to see that so that I can grow. You know, he brought us around him to learn how to live, to learn how to grow. You know, how can you be around a Jesus figure and not have that type of example being put in you, and you be an example of the example to others? So that's what this is all about. And I thank Allah for it. I really do.
And there's other questions, because we have a few more that we want to ask you. I'll ask everybody this question. If you had to stand before the world and testify of the quality of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what quality would you testify to the world of him, and why?
I would testify of his love. And the reason why I say love, there's many qualities, but love, the quality of love, that's like all of them in one. I will testify of his love because there's no one else on the planet that has been so consistent, working as hard as he has been working for his people and traveling the world. He goes to the Muslim world over East and guide them out of their situations and stuff like that. And I mean, his patience, his love, he loves us so much. And I see an example of his love all the time, every single day. And his hard work, he never allows anyone to make him afraid. He's been threatened. Of course, we know his life is always threatened. There's real attempts on his life, real assassination attempts on his life. He doesn't carry weapons. Neither does any of his followers. Neither does anyone that's around him. So how does he get around these assassination attempts? The Lord of the world protects him, and the Lord of the world speaks through him. So talking about the love of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you're really talking about the love of the Supreme Being. We hear the minister speaking, we hear his voice, but that's somebody else on a higher level talking through him, obviously. When we see the minister work and do the things that he does, no regular person can do that and upset a powerful government like the United States government, upset Satan like that without getting killed. They knock people off just for talking on social media. You know, so I mean, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has survived for many decades. I mean, since 1955, he's been around, he's been working, he's been surviving. You know, so I mean, many attempts on his life. He don't allow anybody to punk him. He's not afraid of nobody and nothing but the Lord of the worlds. You know, many people have tried to pay him multiple millions of dollars to stop teaching about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. How many other people would accept that and be like, okay, I'm gonna just live my life with this money and be good for the rest of my life? He don't do that. He's still working. He declined the money. Who does that? This is people taking money for smaller things right now. So, I mean, the world needs to know about the love that he has. And once you learn about that, you will learn that people like the ADL and the other people that say he hates Jews and all of that, you will learn that they lying. And you will figure out who they really are, as the scripture called a synagogue of Satan. You can call yourself a Jew, but if that's not what you're acting as, and you're hating and defaming the name and the work of the servant of God, no. So, that's what I want to bear witness to, his love, because someone who's truly hateful, you're not going to have the amount of love that this man has for humanity. I seen Honorable Minister Farrakhan pay for funerals and burials of strangers, total strangers, and people who are Muslims. And who does that? He loves people. He loves life. He loves the truth. And he don't just talk it. He actually lives that. When he's not in front of the camera, he the same way. How many people do that? A lot of people are a certain way in front of the camera, but when they go home, they something else. Or when they're around their friends, they something else. Or when the cameras ain't around, they something else. That's not the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's the same way that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught him to be, that Allah taught him to be. And this is a special man. And that's the side that people need to get acquainted with, because listening to other people who have their own take on him and what he's saying, no, you don't know what you're going to get. But if you listen to him, you're listening to the source. You're getting directly from the source. So I encourage everybody, go online, go on YouTube, Google him. Go to NOI.org, listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and find out more about him directly from his mouth if you want to learn more.
Because this flyer, this picture is used also was used as part of the advertisement that we had. There's a picture of you and your sisters. I would imagine that's your nieces and probably some of your other nephews with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can you talk about how this moment came about and the impact that this has had on them and their feelings about the minister?
Yes, sir. I remember that. So that was an event that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan used to host at the farm once a year in the summer. It was an annual cook-off for the believers at Mosque Mariam and their families, right? All of us were allowed to bring so many family members with us. And I always teach my family members about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his work and everything like that. So they already had love in his heart. And I didn't even know that my family members were watching me and how I live because of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's example. I didn't even know that was inspiring them even more and building even more love in their heart for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because your family know what you used to be on the streets before you heard Islam, right? So the minister began to ask me, Brother Arvence, are your family members coming to the cookout? Before this was the cookout, this picture. And I said, I can ask them, Brother Minister. I don't know if they'll be able to make it. He said, I would really like to meet them. And I would really like to have been blessed if your mother was still alive to meet your mother. He said, I would really have been blessed to meet the woman who gave birth to such a wonderful, beautiful young man. And I was like, all praise is due to Allah, And so in this picture, that's my sister to the far right. That's my niece in the green shirt. To the left of my sister, next to the minister, that's my oldest niece. That's my young nephew in front of the minister. And that's my younger niece that the minister has his arm around. So the minister was really, really excited, and he wanted to meet my family once he found out they were there. And I was like, yes, sir, I'll go get him, Brother Minister. So the minister was riding around on a golf cart. And I said to my family members, I said, there go the minister. Come on, y'all. They was nervous. They was like, we can go. I said, come on. He want to meet y'all. So we stood in front of the minister. I said, Brother Minister, this is my sister and my nieces and my nephew. The minister was so happy. He was so happy to meet them like they were his family members that he haven't seen in years. And I was just like, wow, And of course, I know who my family members are meeting for the first time. They don't really have a clue like that yet. Inshallah, they will. So they were able to take a picture with the minister, and the minister's asking them questions. And my oldest niece was telling the minister about her graduating from college and she getting a degree and she's gonna go back for this, and everything my niece told the minister she was gonna do, she actually did it, right? So my sister, who was on the right side of that picture, she was so excited. She just was so bubbly, excited. I got to meet the minister, and the minister gave all of my nieces, my nephew, my sister a hug. And the minister was so excited, the joy in his face, just to be able to take a picture with my family members. And I was like, wow, this is priceless. People don't get up that close to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at all. And then not only are you blessed with that opportunity because of him, but he wants to take a picture with you. Pictures last forever. You know, you can, I mean, that's the only picture that I have of my family members and myself with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I thank the minister for that. That was priceless. They talk about that picture to this day. I mean, they shared it with all of their friends. My sister went to her job and she was bragging about it. My brother worked for the minister, y'all. He gave us a picture of that. And she showed everybody the picture. It was wonderful. So, I mean, man, they remember that to this day. And that was a priceless moment. They always ask about the minister. The minister always tell me, tell your family I love them. Give them the greetings for me. And I let everybody know all the time. And they be just so excited that someone like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is literally thinking about them like that. It's a blessing. So that was a blessing.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. And as these last two questions, you know, last year we unfortunately lost one of our stars, a star of God, one of the stars of God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan referred to her as. I came across this picture of you holding posts at Mount Marion while she was teaching. Are there any memorable moments that you have with our dear sister, student minister, Sister Ava Muhammad?
Yes. First of all, being blessed to be a soldier in the mosque in the city of Chicago, you're blessed to see many of the ministers and laborers and everything that everyone don't really get the opportunity to see in person every day. So just being able to see Sister Ava on the mosque property, working the way she works, always consistent, always working hard. It was always a blessing. And I always looked at her like, man, like that was Sister Ava. Always, like, I always played it cool, but it's just like, wow, like always, because I know her value, right? So she would always coordinate the study groups on Friday, her and her husband, and I would make sure that I could make every Friday that I could because I just wanted to hear her. She has a whole different perspective. She's the woman who wrote the study guides. Like, I mean, come on, who else can say that? Allah really had his hand around her, and he still does. So, I mean, so many different memories, just seeing her, just being around while she's at the mosque, working and teaching. And last summer, I was blessed to be specifically called by the captain to pick Sister Ava up and her husband up from the airport in my car. And the captain told me, you know, I need you, brother. I don't want just any old body. I would rather have you because, you know how to deal with people like that and situations like that. And plus they're familiar with you and all that. I said, yes, sir, brother captain, I'll do it. So I was able to be in town and I was able to pick them up from the airport. And I remember Sister Ava being in the back of the car, her husband being on the front and passenger side. And I had on some nice 60s and 70s music for them to listen to, you know, some nice, clean, good, comfortable music. And Sister Ava kept telling me, I really like your music, brother. I said, yes, ma'am, thank you. I want to make sure you're comfortable, you know. And I just remember that. I drove them to where they were going. They got out, and I sat there until they went inside of the building, was safe, you know. And I just remember that moment. And unfortunately, months later, after that, I hear that our sister wasn't with us no more. And that right there was just, I was confused. I was upset. I didn't know what was happening because when I received the news of that, I was driving one of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's daughters, around to take care of her business. And then once one of the minister's daughters told me that she got that call, I said, Ava, who? I'm like, no, it couldn't be Sister Ava. They talking about another Sister Ava that we don't know about, right? I just know, no. So she said, let me call around and make some more calls. So I'm just waiting. And then she said, Arvence, it's true. I was like, oh, no. Like, the first thing in my mind, okay, the enemy is hitting people. And so I told the minister's daughter, I said, I got to take you back home to your father right now. Because I said, I don't know what's going on. And if she's really gone just like that, she wasn't sick. She wasn't in no bad health condition where she was on her way out. She wasn't in a hospital. It wasn't like she was barely holding on to a thread, but she was still around the mosque and none of that. It's just like, what happened? She was just at the mosque earlier that day. What happened? I mean, like, what just happened? So everything was fishy. Everything was suspicious to me personally. So the minister's daughter looked at me. She said, what just happened? I said, I don't know, but I'm taking you back home to your father right now. And I'm on the freeway flying. And she said, I agree with you. Let's go. Because we didn't know what was going on. In my mind, the enemy was taking people out. That's what I thought. So I took the minister's daughter, hurry up, back home. Everything was safe. And while I'm taking her back home to the minister's calling her, checking up on her, because he already knew about, the situation with Sister Ava. Somebody told him. So, I mean, just being in a situation like that, I mean, that was just out of the blue. And I thank Allah for guiding the minister to tell us about her value and her worth the way that he did. He really, 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 really made a hard pill go down easy, for real, for everybody. And I thank him for that, because I didn't know what to think. I mean, everybody's still sad. I mean, she was just a bright light that always shined. And, her light, even though she's physically not among us anymore, she's still here. Her light is still here. The study guys are still here. That's her. The study group on Friday, the way she set it up is still going. That's her. Her example is still here. We're still being inspired by her. So I remember a few weeks, maybe about a month. No, it didn't even take a month. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks after her departure from us, I started thinking, I said, man, this happened so suddenly. This reminds me how the most honorable Elijah Muhammad left. It was sudden. Didn't nobody know it was going to happen? It was sudden. It was a shock of an hour, right? It was sudden. Sister Ava left. That was a shock. So I'm thinking, like, is this a warning to the future about us getting ready to go through the departure of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? This is the way I'm thinking, me personally. And I'm like, Allah always give us signs. We got to be patient and not be so emotional. It's hard to say don't be emotional. I mean, it's painful when anybody you love passes, so. But at a certain point, you have to set aside your emotion and look at the Supreme Being and his view on things, because that's the only way you're going to be able to see your way through anything. Sometimes stuff will happen in life that's just going to hit you in the jaw and knock you out for a few minutes till you wake up and get up and just, okay, now I know how to deal with this. I thank Allah for Sister Ava. She's still, alive in all of us. She's still inspiring all of us. Study the study guides, all of them. Because when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad left, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said he was the only one that was able to speak the name of the messenger and rebuild the work of the messenger. He said he was the only one strong enough to do it because of the whole pain and shock of his departure. And people thought that he was dead, but come to find out now he's not, because God saved him. That was the fulfillment of scripture dealing with Jesus. So Sister Ava, she may not be among us, but the work that she did out of her love for Allah and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we have that at our disposal to guide us. We have the life giving teachers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad at our disposal to guide us. Take it, take it, take it, take it, take it in, read it, study it, let it shape and mold you into what Allah and His Messenger wants you to be. You know, we love Sister Ava, and you know, we're still deeply saddened and hurt that she's not physically with us anymore. But anytime you see or get the chance to see her husband or her children, embrace them, love them, ask them, what is it that you need? What is it? Can I help you with anything? Can I do anything for you? You know, that's what she will want. She will want us to be strong and keep following the life-giving teachings of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and for us all to look out for one another. So let's just do that.
And Sam, we'll close on this last question. I wanted to definitely ask you this because, you know, one of our leading experts on the wheel, from my opinion, in our nation of Islam, outside of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is our brother Ilya Rashad, who has actually wrote a book about a very phenomenal book. Have you all had the opportunity, in this closing question, have you all had the opportunity to come together and discuss your experiences and his research, and what can you share with us regarding that?
We're in the works of doing an interview, inshallah, for Savior's Day weekend. We're gonna try to make that happen. But we've talked to one another in passing, and anytime he has come to meet with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we talked for a little while. It's gonna happen. We're gonna have a sit down. We're just working on the time frame so that we can make it happen, because he's busy, I'm busy, we in different cities. We just have to make it happen. But he wants to interview me. I want to be interviewed, and that's a very special brother, Brother Ilya Rashad. He the man, like for real. You all are inspired by me, Brother Ilya Rashad. He the man, for real. Read his books. He the man. And people have been telling me to write a book, and I started getting worried and asking a lot, how can I write a book? What is it to write? What do you want me to write? How do you want me to write it? I've never written a book in my life. I don't know how to write a book, right? So I went to sleep thinking about that, and I woke up the next morning, and the thought came to my mind and said, you don't have to worry about writing a book. You already have the book. All of your experiences that you've been having, that you documented, I showed you all of these pieces of paper right here. It's many pages of many years, and I didn't even type out all of it. A lot of it is still saved on the computer and all of that stuff. So I said to myself, well, I didn't say it, the thought came to my mind, said, this is the book right here. It's already written. You just have to put it in a timely fashion so that when people read it, it's not all over the place, you know? So inshallah, I'll get help on putting everything together. Allah has given me personal video footage, and I want to find out how to put that in the book, you know, pictures, and I want to find out how to put, you know, maybe a DVD that goes with the book. So when the people get the book, they get the DVD, they see some video footage, because reading about it is one thing. Once you see the video footage, that's a whole different thing, you know, and this is a testimony that Allah gave to me, and I thank Him for it, because this is not something that I asked for. This is not something that I even knew was going to happen. Once it started happening, it was happening. You know, once that ball started rolling, it just picked up more speed, got bigger and bigger, until the point I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna put my hands up. I see what's happening in the law. This is you. I submit. Once I made that decision, everything started just going. And the minister started giving me instructions and telling me what to do when he depart. He told me to do this and do that. And he told me he wanted me to be there. And he told me whoever is going to be there with you, I want them to be there with you. And I mean, he's just, all of this stuff started happening. And once I started to just let it be and submit and do as I'm told by the angels on the wheels and do as I'm told by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the wheel activity just exploded. They came everywhere where I was at. When I asked them to come, they come faster now. It's like, I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I thank Allah for it. This is a space that I'm comfortable in. This is a space that I'm being taught how to handle, how to talk about it, and how to even guide people. Like, I'm not the guide, but the minister is the guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Allah, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when people inbox me on social media, I get so many inboxes every week. I can't even read them all. So a lot of people inbox me, tell me their experiences, tell me dreams that they had. And some people would ask me, can I like decipher or explain a dream that they had, that they explained to me. Sometimes I'm able to do it. I don't try to go there, but if they tell me and they ask for clarity, I just tell them about my experiences and what the minister has told me about my dreams that I thought was a dream. And the minister told me it wasn't a dream. You were actually there. So, I mean, things like that started to happen, and that's out of my control. Telling people what dreams mean, and it just started happening. That's out of my control. People would ask me a lot of questions about the wheels, and do you think I seen when I seen this light? They did ask what I said. Yeah, that was them. And I said, anytime you see them, they chose you to see them. That's out of your control. They choose who see them, when they see them, where they see them. And if you can get pictures or videos, they do all that. They allow that. I've seen the wheels come to the farm. The minister's family there, I'm there. A lot of them. It was over 200, as Allah is my witness. At night, big red balls of light coming up from the tree line and made formation and everything. Everybody pulled out their cell phone, and everybody's cell phone shut off at the same time, and nobody can cut their cell phone back on. Who did that? I didn't do it. The Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan didn't do it. So one of the brothers had a professional camera. His battery died, and it was a fully charged battery. He changed the battery and put in a brand new fully charged battery. That battery didn't even work. So if the angels don't want you to record them at that moment, you ain't. I had an experience this morning at 7:20 this morning. I didn't even know this was going to happen. I came outside. The thought came to my mind to look up. I look up. There's this rectangular light with two bright lights up under it, sitting right over the home of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, just sitting there, not moving, quiet, just sitting there. Now, I know who they are. I know exactly who they are. So I stand at attention and I salute the angels on the wheels. I always do that. I always do that, right? So once I salute them, the rectangular light started moving away from the minister home, real slow, like this. I said, Allahu Akbar. I said, oh, wait, let me go get my camcorder and my phone, right? I run inside to grab it. I couldn't find my camcorder, so I said, forget it. Let me grab my phone. I run back outside. Just seconds later, and the light gone, disappeared, gone. It was right there. It was gone. So if they don't want you to record or take pictures at that moment, you ain't gonna be able to. If they allow you, you will. And that's your testimony, that's your proof. People used to tell me many years ago, you didn't see none, you thought you seen it. Okay, here's the video footage. And you hear my voice saying Allahu Akbar, look me right here, right there. Who is that? So I mean, once they start to give you the physical proof of their existence and them coming to the mosque, the palace, the home of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, or whatever city or state you live in, whatever part of the planet you live in, once they come to you, you should really be calm, be still, and think. Talk to them mentally. They can hear you. That's what I do. They respond to me all the time. And the more I practice that, the stronger it becomes. You can do it too. Do it. Ask them, why are you here? What do you want me to do? If they're making you a witness, you have to hold on to that. They can appear in the presence of anyone that they desire at any given time. It may freak you out at first because you're hearing the lies about aliens and they here to kill us. If they were here to kill us, we would have been dead eons ago. I mean, they're here to help guide us. So, but if you don't listen to it, I mean, you ain't gonna get it. That's so true. Just be calm anytime you see them. Take it in. Be cool, calm. Try to communicate with them. Try to pull out your camera. Every cell phone is a camera now. Every cell phone turn every cell phone holder into CNN. Live stream, all of that. So, man, I mean, do it.
You have shared so much, man, and we thank you. And I feel like this interview is going to contribute to more that you have out there that will help grow us into understanding of I think the Arvence of Louis Farrakhan said that this is one of the areas the enemy will try to attack after his departure as well. So we thank you, my brother. May Allah continue to bless you. I want to send you something via text message, get your opinion on, and inshallah I'll call you when I have some time. But thank you, man, and may Allah continue to
Yes,
bless
sir.
you.
Thank
You for what you shared.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And for those who are tuning in, we thank you all for tuning in to hear our brother's interview. You know, continue to subscribe, continue to follow us on NNV Muhammad Mas number 46, all of those social media platforms. Continue to support. We need your help because this is not free. And whatever you can give to give a contribution. If you feel like you're benefiting from these interviews, we would ask that you show your appreciation and your love, whatever it is that we can help, that we can continue to keep this program going. So may Allah continue to bless you. Leave your comments in the comment section and stay tuned for our next episode coming shortly. Let me do this right. As-salam alaikum.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Please.